Good morning, Story Trading VIPs. It's Tuesday morning, November 29th. Welcome to VIP pre-market prep. So, you know what? I'm going to characterize this market as the chop, right? And the chop markets are very, very hard to play. I just changed that background there. So, choppy markets, extremely hard to play. Yesterday, we were down significantly. You can see that there. This morning, we were up initially, and now we're back to about break even on the SPY and the QQQ. So there's two things I want you to keep in mind when the markets are really choppy. Number one, you usually get a lot of choppiness and volatility before a huge move, right? A huge move. I have a little bias towards the downside. I say it chops before it drops, right? I've seen that so many times in my life when you start getting crazy volatility, but it can also mean a bottom is forming. So just keep that in mind. The other thing is choppiness is so hard to play because up one day, down the next day, up one day. You can see this right here, right? We're basically flat. Look at this chart. We've gone nowhere. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. A trend never forms. You can end up buying on green days and selling on red days. So chop is very hard to play, which is why I think selling puts is a really good strategy in this kind of market. So just keep that in mind. Now, this morning, why were we initially up sharply and now it's pulled back? We were up because of China stocks. You can see this. Let's just scroll down here. BABA, JDLI, just an example of three China stocks that are up sharply this morning. If you remember yesterday, the storyline was the COVID protests and the lockdowns, bringing light to the COVID lockdowns, and China was really bad. Well, this morning there was a little bit of like good nuggets out there in Beijing news or whatever that they're going to try to get out of the lockdowns as soon as possible and do more vaccinations. The problem is people aren't vaccinated, and that's why there's lockdowns. So that's why the Chinese stocks are up this morning. That rubbed off on the SPY and QQQ this today in the pre-market. Those of you who are listening in the chat rooms or in the post-market wrap yesterday know that I did start a hedge yesterday with PSQ after those hawkish comments from the Fed that came in, and I believe Powell is speaking tomorrow. And of course, we have CPI and FOMC next week, or is it the week after? No, 2 weeks, December 13th, 14th, I believe it is. So lots of catalysts coming that could take the market down. But look, it's just really hard to trade this. Selling puts a great idea, and we'll go over a couple support levels in some stocks that would be potentially good to sell puts on. Apple, just want to bring this to your attention. Apple moves the market yesterday. See this big move down here? I'm pretty sure this sharp move in the afternoon. Then listen, it's already been bad news because what's going on with the COVID lockdowns and production with their iPhone factory. So that's why you've had this multi-day downturn in Apple. But this move right here seemed to be really timed with Elon Musk basically going at war against Apple on Twitter on this tirade. And, with the possibility, there's a possibility because of what's going on with the drama on Twitter and the App Store that Elon Musk could make a decision at some point to launch his own phone. So that's playing into some of the negative sentiment, at least yesterday afternoon in Apple. So just keep that in mind. And I told you the other day, look, we're below all the key moving averages. And every time Apple has dropped below that 20 DMA, the last of the key moving averages, it seems to retest that low there at 135, the recent low. So that's a risk to the market is Apple looks like it's poised to head towards 135, and then we'll take it from there. So I definitely have a downward bias. Despite the green this morning, I didn't really get worried about that, and I kept on my PSQ hedge this morning. All right, what else can we talk about here? Let's go into some individual stocks. SMSI, very widely followed stock in our community. Lots of people know we've been doing presentations on this for many years. This morning, they got an upgrade. Benchmark initiated a buy $5 price target. That's a significant price target from $2. And the stock has been close to its lows. Look at this, very close to its lows. So that's a pretty good catalyst, to turn this around. So this morning, you can see it's already up 5%. The 20 DMA is up here at $2.24. So maybe this is something I'm going to add. I already have it in my IRA, but this catalyst may be enough to put in the bottom. But of course, it really depends how markets play out the next few months, because this stock seems to be very sensitive to the overall market. But this could be a good enough catalyst. You got to be aware of that resistance at 225. So if I do this one, I don't think I'm doing it as a trade. I think maybe I'll just add to my core position possibly. So that's something I'll be looking at possibly adding to my core position because I don't have a huge position. And this catalyst of $5 price target could be enough to put in to decrease the risk. Let's put it that way. I don't know, put it in the bottom, you never know, but it definitely decreases the risk if you see analyst coverage here validating the thesis that's been built in our community. So that's the story with SMSI. Go into a few other ones. This one brought to us by Tony yesterday. Why not in our rooms? TBLA in the VIP research room. I put in a link to the conference call, a link to the investor presentation. That they have a 30-year deal with Yahoo that's going to bring in an additional $1 billion in revenue per year. Market cap $650 million. Let's see if I can show you this real quick from my other app. Here it is. Okay, this is a presentation that they put together showing you that this deal is significantly accretive, and they're showing you their adjusted EBITDA per share in 2022 was 62 cents, and 2022 would have been if they had this deal with Yahoo in 2022 would have been 88 cents, which is a 43% increase in adjusted EBITDA. But it's also, adjusted EBITDA. What is that? Like a 4? It's trading at 4 times adjusted EBITDA or 3 times adjusted. Why the multiple is so low, that's something to look into. But in terms of the delta from from Friday to Monday, it's interesting that increase in adjusted EBITDA of 45% or so was pretty much exactly the increase in the price you saw yesterday. But you also got to add sentiment to that. The sentiment's going to be more positive here. You have Yahoo now a major shareholder, 28% of the company they own. I think it is. They're going to own when the deal closes, and that's a 30-year deal. So that's really good validation, really good for sentiment, really good for the long-term sustainability of earnings, which is awesome. So I don't know, man. Yesterday I was trying to catch this knife, and I did average down a little bit here, and I bought more this morning at $2.52. I think this is not going to fill the gap here at like 214 at the top of that candle, and then you have 186 to really fill that gap. I don't think that's going to happen. This deal is too significant to tabula, TBLA. It's way too significant, and I'm trying to see maybe we can hold this 245 to 250 level as the low, and we'll see. Swing trade period, day trade. Maybe we do more research and this becomes a long-term holding. This morning as well, there was a price target increase from Oppenheimer. They increased the price target from 350 to 450 after this Yahoo deal got announced. So TBLA, something at least I'm looking to maybe take some trading profits on today with that 252 entry I had this morning. YTRA, this one brought to you by Matt Kolb. Looking for that India IPO catalyst. They did have earnings this morning, which it's not shown on this news feed. I put the link into the room with their earnings report. It looked like pretty much in line. So I'm going to wait for Matt to give his commentary on that earnings report when he pops in, hopefully later today, and we'll hear from him what he thinks about that earnings. I'm still holding that one. INB presenting at a conference coming up soon. This one's interesting. It's SPRC. I mentioned it once or twice in the chat room. I don't think I ever mentioned it on the show. But the reason I don't really mention it, I'm playing it, I'm in it, but I don't know the fundamentals of this company. I'm playing it because someone trusted who is giving good stock tips private messaged me a few weeks ago and said, hey, SPRC is going to keep on popping and they have lots of catalysts coming, things like that. Anyway, I hold it at about $1.01 or so. And then this morning, they have a press release regaining compliance with NASDAQ minimum closing bid price rule, which was $1. Interesting. The last few weeks, I noticed massive bids at $1. So someone was purposely, artificially holding this up at $1 in order for them to meet this requirement. So what's that going to mean for the dynamics today? Is this going to mean people are excited now? They've regained compliance and the stock's going to be free to go? Or is that person who was supporting the stock at $1 going to disappear now because they got what they wanted out of it? I don't know the answer to that, but I will be looking to exit on any meaningful pop on this. I've been waiting a long time. Unfortunately, I really don't know the fundamentals on this, so I don't have high conviction in this. So I really can't guide you well on it. Now, Shopify brought this to your attention yesterday because they had the 17% year over year sales on Black Friday, which did beat estimates, which were, I forgot the exact number. I think it was closer to like 10%. And this morning, additional news coming out, which I shared with you about how they did through Cyber Monday as well. Shopify could be Cyber Monday's biggest winner, it says from Barron's. So yesterday I told you I'm not playing it, I'm not chasing it, but if you were, there's your target at the 200 DMA, about 41. Also, the top of this candle first, 41.73. Actually, they coincide. So about 41.73 if you were going to play this to the upside. And there you see that support there at the 20 DMA. Nicely riding up that 20 DMA. Potentially, this is something that you can sell puts on with that support, the 20 DMA, and bigger support there at the 50 DMA. Clearfield, man, we got so very excited about this. I think it was a good time to start selling puts on this yesterday. 108, right? 108 is your support level on Clearfield after we just nailed this thing and exited right at the top. At least I did at 134, and I think a lot of other people did too in the 120s, 135 area. So got out of that. Now waiting for a pullback to 108, but I think you can start selling puts. One of the strategies I have for selling puts is sell early, sell often, right? Instead of waiting for that price target to hit, because look, it could take 3 weeks for 108 to hit. And you're like, I'm not going to sell the put until it reaches support. Well, then you lost all that time premium, right? I like to always start selling puts with my effective purchase. And you can check out the options yourself. I think there were a couple yesterday started coming into view where you can get this at an effective price of 108 or lower. And if it doesn't hit, you collect that income. Really, really good deal. Good to scale into it because it may go to 108 over time, and it may happen faster than you think. So I want to leave some money available so I can add additional position to that and sell more puts as it goes down towards 108. That's the target. I don't think it's going to go below personally, but you never know. That's the gap. What's the bottom of this candle? 107.20, 107.20. So maybe that's what it is. 107.28, around there, 107 to 108. So very excited about this pullback and possibly a pick up Clearfield again. Tesla, this is probably going to be on my list from now on. I think this is kind of in a value stock range at this point, given their growth prospects. And you see that 200 DMA support. We really called this last week. So this is something I'm just going to be monitoring, and maybe on down days, looking at selling puts on this. Maybe I'll establish a little bit of my long-term IRA. We'll have to see. So Tesla on top of our watch list. GOEV, that's been crazy. Took me for a loop the last couple of days. Didn't trade it exactly right, but keeping this close on the watch list. This is the kind of stock it could go to like 50 cents a year from now, or it could be $5, right? It totally depends on when they get their financing in and at what terms they get their financing. Now, CEO did that $9 million purchase the other day, which has been the catalyst for this to bottom temporarily, at least here. And listen, if you've listened to the conference calls, the last earnings call, the CEO has been saying that their strategy for raising capital is basically just-in-time the strategy, right? Rather than raising like $400-500 million, they're raising in little pieces as they go, and they're trying their best to get non-dilutive deals. And they have a couple non-dilutive things they're looking at, but they also have an ATM running. So I think until they get those non-dilutive deals, I think they're just tapping that ATM. So this is a tough one, man, because they have massive orders, they have massive validation and credibility from Walmart, and the U.S. Army, I believe, is working on it as well, looking at a prototype now. But the Walmart one alone is massive validation, and they have, at this point, I think they have over $1 billion in orders in their backlog with a $380 million market cap. So it sounds very, very compelling. The problem is they have to raise a ton of money. So this one's tricky. I think I might do like a 1% position in my IRA as a speculative position, or maybe a 0.5% position, because if they do get over this financing hump, it looks like a good opportunity. PLAB, I do have some here. Disregard that move for this morning. Not meaningful. 86 shares, bid is 1865. But again, earnings coming out soon for this. I'm not 100% sure. It could be this week or next week on the date. I'm not 100% sure on the date. So I may be looking at adding more PLAB to play this into earnings. I told you about the thesis on this earlier, so you can take a look at that. Dick's pulling back a little bit here. I think it needs a catalyst to break out. I was wrong on this so far. I thought once it broke 120, I thought that was it, going to 130. And now with this volatility, it's proving that it needs a catalyst. So we'll see if that catalyst comes out. I'll keep this close watch. And if we get news on how, Cyber Monday sales were or Black Friday weekend sales were, and if they were, impressive or whatnot, then 130 is your next target to the upside if that breaks out. So looking at DKS, talk, CANO, won't get those details right now. Well, why don't we do it actually? CANO, CANO. I'm swinging this to 250. Okay, may not happen, but that is based on the technicals here and based on speculation that there's going to be more M&A chatter on this. I'm thinking you're going right to the top of this candle, 253, which coincides with 250 right at the 20 DMA. That's my target. It looked like it was going really, really well yesterday because I doubled down right, like literally like seconds before this spike. I don't know how I saw it. Got lucky maybe. I don't know. But like seconds before that spike, I felt like something was cooking. I was looking at level 2 and I felt like a genius, but I didn't sell that spike and it went all the way back down, retraced it completely. So no more genius Ben. But 250, that's my target. I'm swinging it. I'm sticking with that. All right, let's see. Talk I'm completely out of right now. Actually, no, I had a partial limit I had a limit and we got a partial full like 76 cents. So this one's M&A. $1.50 is a speculation on M&A here. So maybe this is good to continue playing on pullbacks. I'll be watching that. And if it drops, we'll get that M&A chatter again and hopefully get it back towards 150. All right, DAIO CEO coming up at StoryTrading in the next week or so. You can consult the schedule in the app. XXII, I thought I had him lined up for Wednesday, but not confirmed yet. So we'll get that soon. XXII CEO. Sanjay and I talked to the ARG CEO yesterday. I'll talk to him, see when Sanjay and I can maybe schedule something, maybe tomorrow on the happy hour if it's available at 4:30 or the weekly collaboration session. We'll talk about what the CEO said. I'll just tell you that it was good. That this multi-million-dollar contract with EV charging leader, there's meat behind that. There's a pipeline there of additional business. There's a fairly large TAM, larger than I expected in this space. And this deal is multi-million dollars per year. It's not through the life of the contract. It's multi-million dollars per year. So ARG, interesting conversation with the CEO, and we'll update you on that soon. All right, that's it. Let me just actually draw your attention to CTLP because this is on the verge of a breakout. I'd like to see a catalyst rather than it just like trying to anticipate a breakout on technicals alone. I'd like to first see some news, and that could spark a big move to $4 or so, maybe more on CTLP. So looking closely at that, we got a strong bid at 340 this morning. And CTMX, the Regeneron deal last week. I really like this on a pullback, 146, 150, 160, somewhere in that area. The news, everything really good. Fundamentals, catalyst, sentiment, technicals kind of pulling back. That's why I got out. But I'm going to look to reload on CTMX when it makes sense to do so. All right, so that's all I got for you this morning. Let's take a look at the news feeds. SMSI just did a news release. Let's see. Smith Micro celebrates 40 years of delivering software solutions to the telecommunications industry. Looks like a little bit of fluff. But, let's see if they threw in any significant nuggets. Probably not. Grown into a global company with over 20 acquisitions. All right, they're trying to add on to that sentiment, right? Make people feel good. A little bit of a sentiment booster coming from the company to accompany that $5 price target. So that could help. Yeah, those things do have an impact. So we'll be looking closely at SMSI today. Guys, thanks for joining us. And listen, if you're not a VIP yet, you can join us by hopping over to StoryTrading.com. You can grab a 7-day risk-free trial, and you can get these shows live instead of watching it at 4 p.m. once the day has already passed. So hopefully we'll see you soon there in our community. And with that, I'm out of here. And by the way, Oh, my schedule today, I don't know. I'm actually not feeling great. I may be leaving the office. We'll have to see. Play it by ear. So we'll be in touch with you. Have a great day.